Welcome back to Law&Crime, everybody. We're talking about the Roy Coons trial. We're going to be back at around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's been an emotional time to follow this case in light of what we saw yesterday. Okay, let's break this down right now. Joining me is trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, great to see you here on Law&Crime. We watched this case. Interesting witness, emotional witness. Always difficult for the defense to cross-examine such a sensitive witness like this, but how did they do at casting blame away from their client, Roy Coons?
Good morning, Jesse. It's so nice to be on the show and see you. You know, the parts that I saw, it really wasn't that effective. I don't think that defense counsel was kind of conveying a message, but I think that the jury is kind of confused of what is actually he was trying to do and trying to convey. And I don't think that it was that successful. I'm
going to ask you the same question I asked Matthew Mangino earlier. Does the prosecution have a strong case? They have some DNA. They have these text messages. There are no eyewitnesses. There's no surveillance footage. You tell me, because at the end of the day, he lived right by them. He did work for them, and he actually did work for the previous occupant in that trailer. What do you think?
You know, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, and ultimately the jury's going to make that determination whether, in fact, that they believe based on the evidence that he committed the crime. But, you know, there's really not, you know, besides the DNA, there's not a lot, but just circumstantial evidence that the text message that she thought it was him. Was he there? No one saw him. So ultimately, the jury's going to have to make a determination if they believe that DNA is strong enough, or the fact that, you know, he was there before and worked for the prior owner, that maybe the DNA was there prior.
Look, every case is different. We've seen convictions with weaker evidence. We've seen, you know, people being acquitted on stronger evidence, so you never know. Let's play a little bit more of Patricia Velasquez when she was cross-examined by the defense, again, trying to cast blame away from their client. Okay, Kelly, let me ask you this. Are they trying to suggest that not only somebody else did this, but that perhaps it was her husband? I mean, where are they going with this testimony? What should we be understanding here?
Absolutely, Jesse. Yeah, I think they're trying to have reasonable doubt that maybe there was someone else that actually, you know, killed her daughter. And also the fact that she didn't do any cleaning of the carpet or the windows to show maybe the DNA was there from the prior owner. That because the gentleman that did the gardening used to come into the home, so that DNA has been there for a while, so it's not because of this incident.
Look, that's a big point. You know, but also let's just talk about the proximity of the defendant to their home is a big factor. I mean, who else would have done this? No forced entry, so it seems to suggest that Johanna opened the door. Now, one thing that you and I know, and the jury will not know as of yet, Mr. Coons has a long rap sheet. You can date back, he's been convicted for more than 30 offenses, you know, felonies, misdemeanors, all going back to 1992, aggravated burglary, reckless endangerment, indecent exposure, DUIs, marijuana possession. Not murder, though. What do you think of it?
Yeah, you know, absolutely. That's a pretty, you know, long rap sheet. And also there's also some issues of, you know, mental health issues as well. So ultimately, we're going to see, you know, how that plays out in front of the jury.
Yeah, but just because, you know, if we're just talking and I'm not sitting on the jury, just because somebody has a long criminal record doesn't necessarily mean that they would be the person that does this. Or is this just, you know, we see it kind of in the Scott Nelson case. That's a guy who was in and out of the prison system, and then he just did whatever he had to do to survive, and ultimately, according to him, and he murdered Jennifer Fulford. So he took a step up to murder. Is that what's happening here? I mean, you tell me.
Yeah, you know, Jesse, that's an interesting point. But, you know, as you know, you're innocent till proven guilty. And just because you committed prior crimes doesn't mean that you committed this crime. So ultimately, the jury will have to decide and figure out whether they believe that he should be convicted of the crime.
What kind of evidence is the defense going to put on? I mean, they could keep striking down the prosecution's case, and they may just have a successful case doing that. Who do you think that they will call or should call?
You know, that's a really interesting argument to see, you know, who else, maybe some neighbors or something like that to show that other people were at the house or other people were around and kind of, you know, get an idea that it just wasn't him. And, you know, always it's ultimately the client's determination of whether he's going to take the stand. If I was a betting person, I would say he's not going to testify. But, you know, you never know, Jesse. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I also didn't think Scott Nelson was going to go on the stand and say that he's a homicidal maniac who admitted to murdering Jennifer Fulford, but hey, you know, never know what's going to happen. So, okay, Kelly, this is really dramatic testimony. What do you make of it?
It's very compelling. You're getting to know the victim's sister. It's really, getting to know the person, what they did, going to church together, and kind of telling a story. How that her sister was roller skating and she hurt herself, and also about the Taekwondo, to really get to know what the sister was like as a person. It's very, very, very compelling and heartwarming testimony.
Speaking of Taekwondo, she strangled with a karate belt. What does that tell you about this attack?
That it's horrific. Something like that happened, and that the belt was in the house itself.
So that somebody didn't bring something from outside. In a way, it wasn't a prepared attack, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, that could be, an argument as well, or the fact that, maybe there's the fact that the person used, that to show that it was actually in the house, that it was hers, which kind of saddens the story, as well. Looking around the house to find a belt to kill her.
12-year-old girls like this, okay, innocent children, is it more likely that a complete stranger walked into that house, no forced entry, was let in by this young girl, or somebody that she knew? Because you tell me, in the majority of cases that you see, is it more strangers that commit these heinous attacks, or is it people who at least have some knowledge of this person, or at least they have some relationship with this person? What do you see more often?
Usually it's someone, that they know. Usually when a wife is killed, the first suspect they always look at is the husband. And so someone that knows, has a connection to that person, usually is the first person that the police will look at.
And he's charged with a lot of different crimes here, but one of the things is attempted rape of a child. That means that they couldn't definitively say that he raped her, right? Because they couldn't determine if this was a sexual assault. Am I understanding this correctly?
No, Jesse, absolutely. She was on her period, and so because of that, they couldn't determine whether or not it had occurred.
And her mother testified earlier that her pants were a little lower than they should have been, so it seems to suggest there was something nefarious. And I mean, in the majority of cases that you cover, we have about 20 seconds, it would seem that a sexual assault is coupled with a murder.
That's a possibility as well. Usually the sexual assault happens because there's some kind of power issue or power struggle to dominate. But we'll have to ultimately see what the jury determines if there's enough evidence to convict him.
This is just a horrible, horrible case. Really so sad to see. And we are waiting to go back live in about 5 minutes. So we're going to jump back and see. You can also, I want to let you know, go to lawandcrime.com right now to see the closings in the Scott Nelson trial. A lot to cover here on the network. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're waiting to jump live in Coons. Stay tuned.